Xiao Ningyan was chosen as the top scholar and paraded through the streets. When the princess took a fancy to him, to avoid becoming a prince consort and ruining his career, he falsely claimed we had been betrothed long ago. Consumed by jealousy and hatred, the princess humiliated me to death on our wedding night. Xiao Ningyan knelt before the palace gates, cradling my lifeless body, pleading with the emperor for justice. To preserve the royal family's reputation, the emperor sent the princess away for a political marriage. Xiao Ningyan then married Lu Rian, a girl from the neighboring household. On their wedding night, Lu Rian gloated triumphantly to Xiao Ningyan, "Brother Yan, if it weren't for that unlucky soul, the princess would have killed me instead." Xiao Ningyan frowned and snorted lightly. "Why bring her up? It brings bad luck." So he knew all along the princess would seek revenge, deliberately courting me to make a grand show. I was merely a pawn shielding Lu Rian from the blow. Opening my eyes again, I found myself back on the day Xiao Ningyan was paraded through the streets. I deliberately addressed the princess nearby. "Champion scholar Xiao and sister Lu Rian truly make a perfect match. How enviable. This time, I would make them pay in blood for their crimes. This year's top scholar is dashing and extraordinary. I hear he hasn't married yet. Which fortunate maiden will win such a husband?" Amidst the surrounding murmurs, I realized I had been reborn. In my previous life, Xiao Ningyan passed the imperial examination as top scholar. During his victory parade, Princess Yongjia, disguised and strolling outside the palace, spotted him. Upon learning this, Xiao Ningyan, unwilling to become a prince consort and ruin his career, rushed to my home that very night to propose. Xiao Ningyan was handsome and exceptionally talented. I had long harbored secret feelings for him, though I never dared to dream of such a thing. Now, I was both shocked and overjoyed. I'm just an ordinary merchant's daughter. How could I possibly be worthy of young Master Xiao? A wealthy bride may be easy to find, but a worthy husband is rare. I care not for the world's judgment." Xiao Ningyan gazed intently at me, his eyes brimming with such deep affection it felt as though I might drown in them. "I have long admired Miss Juner," he said. "I waited only to propose in glory after winning the top rank. I hope you will accept." His heartfelt confession moved me to tears, and I nodded repeatedly in agreement. Seeing my consent, Xiao Ningyan seemed visibly relieved. He solemnly instructed, "Now that I've become the top scholar, countless suitors will come seeking marriage. If anyone asks, Juner, simply say we were already betrothed, it will spare us trouble." After that, Xiao Ningyan frequently took me out, eager for the whole world to know I was his soon-to-be wife. Our wedding day was exceptionally lively, and for a time, I became the envy of every woman in the city. At the palace, Princess Yongjia indeed petitioned the emperor to grant her a marriage with Xiao Ningyan. Xiao Ningyan knelt upright in the grand hall, declaring our long-standing betrothal and his undying love for me alone. The emperor, moved by his noble character and lack of greed for wealth and honor, did not reprimand him. Instead, he bestowed numerous gifts. This caused Princess Yongjia to throw a major tantrum in the palace, further cementing her reputation as arrogant and tyrannical. Even dogs would shake their heads at her. But the good times didn't last. On my wedding day, my palanquin didn't go straight to the Xiao residence. Instead, it was carried through a series of twists and turns into a secluded alley. Several beggars were already waiting there. They humiliated me until I was barely alive, then tossed me onto the street like a discarded rag. The scandal spread like wildfire. Everyone knew I had lost my virtue on my wedding day, reduced to a fallen woman. When I regained consciousness, I felt too ashamed to face Xiao Ningyan. Even more, I could not bear the thought of bringing disgrace upon my entire family. I threw myself against the stone pillar at the gate of the Jingzhou prefect's office and died. Everyone knew Princess Yongjia was madly in love with Xiao Ningyan. When I suffered such unspeakable humiliation, She was the first to be suspected. Xiao Ningyan was overcome with grief. Disregarding the propriety between sovereign and subject, he clutched my lifeless body and knelt before the palace gates, refusing to rise, pleading with the emperor for justice. Rumors boiled throughout the capital. Even though the emperor cherished Princess Yongjia, he had to make a show of authority. He ordered the third prince to thoroughly investigate the case. The third prince acted with lightning speed. Within 2 days, he uncovered the entire truth, proving Princess Yongjia was behind everything. Her ruthless methods were horrifying. The emperor flew into a rage. Though he had once hesitated to send Princess Yongjia off to the distant lands of Huhua for a political marriage, he now sent her away without a second thought. Xiao Ningyan, bound by deep love and duty, buried my body in the Xiao family ancestral tomb with the honors due a lawful wife. He observed a full year of mourning before. At the urging of the clan elders, he married Lu Ruyan, a girl from a neighboring family. My spirit hovered midair, watching Xiao Ningyan and Lu Ruyan drink the wedding wine. Just as I prepared to reincarnate without lingering attachments, Lu Ruyan suddenly burst into laughter. Her smile radiated utter coldness and triumph. Brother Yan, my plan worked perfectly, didn't it? If that fool Su Yuner hadn't taken the fall for us, who knows what would have become of us now? Xiao Ningyan pulled Lu Ruyan close, snorting with disdain. That fool actually thought I could love her? A toad dreaming of swan meat. You have no idea how sickening it was pretending to be deeply in love with her every single day. Yes. Yes. Brother Yan suffered so much. Lu Ruyan nestled closer to Xiao Ningyan with a sweet smile. Now we've rid the third prince of that princess, that troublesome royalist, while also securing your foothold in court. Truly killing 2 birds with 1 stone. That fool Su Yuner was useless alive anyway. Trading her life for a chance to be buried in the Xiao family ancestral tomb? She got off easy. A flash of undisguised disgust flickered in Xiao Ningyan's eyes. Yet when he turned to Lu Ruyan, his expression shifted to one of rapturous devotion. On our wedding day, why bring up that ill-omened slut? Oh dear. Brother Yan, you're so naughty. Only now did I realize everything had been orchestrated by Xiao Ningyan. They would tread upon my bones to achieve glory, wealth, and lifelong devotion, all while condemning me as foolish. Foolish I was indeed, losing my life so needlessly without even realizing it. Bone-gnawing hatred slowly devoured my sanity. My vision darkened, and I collapsed unconscious, only to awaken to a new life. The surrounding praise for Xiao Ningyan continued unabated. Clenching my fists tightly, I racked my brain for a plan of revenge. But then, my gaze fell upon Princess Yongjia, veiled and seated not far away. Perfect. Saves me the trouble of seeking her out. Almost instinctively, I blurted out, "Don't even think about marrying the new top scholar to your daughters. Xiao and the young lady from the Lu family next door, Lu Ruyan, have been deeply in love since childhood. Rumor has it they've exchanged marriage contracts and were waiting for him to become the top scholar to wed." I wasn't lying. Xiao Ningyan and Lu Ruyan had indeed exchanged marriage contracts. But in my previous life, Xiao Ningyan learned from the third prince that Princess Yongjia had designs on him, knowing that discovering his beloved would provoke her vengeance. He rushed to the Lu household that very night to devise a countermeasure. At Lu Ruyan's suggestion, Xiao Ningyan renounced the marriage contract and instead came to propose to me with feigned devotion. From the moment he proposed to me, Xiao Ningyan knew I was destined to be humiliated to death by Princess Yongjia. His so-called love was nothing but my death warrant. This lifetime, I publicly revealed in front of everyone that Xiao Ningyan and Lu Ruyan had already exchanged marriage contracts. Princess Yongjia has keen ears and eyes. She will surely send people to investigate. I'll see how Lu Ruyan handles this. To be fair, the two families were indeed quite close. Soon, a familiar neighbor chimed in with my words, "The Lu family's daughter is a heavenly beauty, perfectly matched for the top scholar Xiao. Truly a match made in heaven." Indeed, All those young girls who adored Xiao the top scholar, their hearts would be shattered into pieces. Seeing the lively chatter, I seized the moment to add, Champion Xiao is deeply devoted. He's declared more than once that he'll marry no one but Miss Lu Ri in this lifetime, a rare and devoted young man indeed. The speaker spoke without intent, but the listener heard with purpose. Princess Yongjia, seated nearby, listened intently. With each sentence, the fierce intent in her beautiful almond-shaped eyes grew sharper. She lowered her head and whispered something to the guard beside her. The guard immediately turned and left. Seeing my words had taken effect, I didn't linger on the street. Soon, I bowed my head and slipped unnoticed into the crowd. Xiao Ningyan wasn't the only one in this world who knew how to use others as tools. My power was too weak to confront him directly. Naturally, I would first use Princess Yongjia's hand to eliminate Xiao Ningyan and Lu Rian. Then settle accounts with the instigator. Those who harmed me in my past life, I would spare none. It was human nature to relish a spectacle, especially one where a talented scholar and a beautiful maiden found their happily ever after. Upon returning home, I meticulously disguised myself by mimicking Lu Rian's attire and style. Then, veiled in gauze, I presented a solid ingot of gold to the storyteller beneath the bridge, urging him to recount this tale with all his skill. The implication was clear: I feared Xiao Ningyan, now soaring to new heights, might disown this marriage pledged in his humble days. The storyteller, having accepted the gold, was naturally eager to oblige. Combined with my earlier words, it wouldn't take a day for the tale of Xiao Ningyan and Lu Rian, the story of a talented scholar and a beautiful maiden, to spread throughout the entire capital. How enviable indeed. I had thought my role ended there, that I could simply hide at home sipping tea and watching the drama unfold. Yet, that very evening, Xiao Ningyan knocked on my door. Whether Xiao Ningyan and Lu Rian were too preoccupied to notice the swirling rumors outside, or whether they simply saw me as a complete fool, someone who, even now, would still foolishly shield them from criticism, remains unclear. Just like in my past life, the moment Xiao Ningyan stepped through the door, he gazed at me with deep affection, pouring out his heartfelt pleas for my father to grant him my hand in marriage. Gazing at his handsome, porcelain-like face, I wanted nothing more than to slap him hard across the cheek. But as the saying goes, the wealthy don't fight with officials. I managed to suppress that urge, only snorting lightly, Mr. Xiao, staying up late just to come find a common girl for amusement? Everyone in the capital knows you and Miss Lu Rian are already betrothed. You must have knocked on the wrong door. Xiao Ningyan froze, clearly aware of the rumors circulating and having prepared his defense. His gaze grew more intense as he looked at me, his voice tinged with hurt as he hurried to explain, Junior, you've misunderstood. There was never any betrothal between me and Lu Rian. She's merely a neighbor's daughter to me. The only one I've ever loved is you. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Are you suggesting those rumors circulating are false, young Master Xiao? My expression remained impassive as I pressed him step by step. Would you dare accompany me to the prefectural magistrate's office to verify whether any marriage contract exists? Yes. In my past life, Xiao Ningyan and Lu Rian's marriage was already set in stone. The marriage contract had even been submitted to the prefectural magistrate's office for registration. Only after hastily proposing to me did he secretly withdraw that contract. He acted discreetly, and with me as the unwitting fool serving as a decoy. Princess Yongjia never caught on. Now that everything is out in the open, Princess Yongjia will undoubtedly investigate thoroughly. Even if Xiao Ningyan denies it all, it won't matter. No matter how hard they scheme, Lu Rian's fate is sealed. It will be a tragic one. Sure enough, the moment I mentioned the marriage contract, Xiao Ningyan's tension was palpable. His reaction was quick, though. He swiftly switched to another line of defense. Junior, the marriage contract was merely a parental arrangement, a match made by matchmakers. It doesn't represent my feelings for Lu Rian. Now that I've become the top scholar, I'm no longer bound by my parents' will. That's why I came to propose immediately." Throughout his speech, Xiao Ningyan gazed at me with eyes brimming with affection, his devotion nearly drowning me. Had I not suffered such a tragic fate in my previous life, I might have truly been deceived by his sweet talk. "Young Master Xiao, you abandoned Miss Lu after leading her on, then rushed to propose to me. Is this your way of trapping me in a position of moral indebtedness?" I spared Xiao Ningyan no courtesy, retorting without mercy, "If you could abandon Miss Lu today, you'll abandon me without hesitation once you've gained rank and fortune. I hold no affection for you nor any desire to climb above my station. You may leave now." With that, I shot my father a meaningful glance. Father, who always doted on me, saw my utter loathing for Xiao Ningyan. His initial elation faded into cold indifference as he sternly dismissed Xiao Ningyan. Xiao Ningyan fixed his gaze upon me, his eyes brimming with unmasked hatred. "Su Yuner, you, a merchant's daughter, have attained the fortune of 8 lifetimes by climbing onto this imperial official. Do you truly intend to be so ungrateful?" I remained utterly unmoved and unafraid, replying only with a faint smile. "Even the greatest fortune requires life to enjoy it. A man like you, who seduces and then discards, is not someone this humble maiden would dare to associate with, even if you were the highest official in the land." Xiao Ningyan seemed unprepared for such a ruthless rebuff to his pride. His face darkened further, and in his fury, he laughed bitterly. "Fine. Very fine. I'll see just how long you can keep up this defiance." With that, he swept his sleeves and stormed off. Watching Xiao Ningyan's retreating figure, Father stroked his beard with deep concern. "Juner, you used to admire Xiao Ningyan greatly. Why this sudden change? He's at the height of his influence now. After such humiliation, he won't let this rest. Since ancient times, the poor dare not challenge the rich, and the rich dare not challenge the officials. Though our family has accumulated some wealth over the years, we absolutely cannot afford to provoke a rising star in the court like Xiao Ningyan." Father knew this would bring trouble, yet he still followed my wishes without hesitation and sent Xiao Ningyan away. His love for his daughter is as clear as day. Thinking of how I suffered endless humiliation and died in my past life, causing Father to endure the immense pain of burying his own child, my heart twisted in agony and my eyes instantly reddened. "Father, rest assured, Xiao Ningyan won't gloat for long." Father looked puzzled. "Why?" I had no reason to hide anything from him. I promptly explained the situation. Princess Yongjia had set her sights on Xiao Ningyan, unwilling to become a prince consort yet unwilling to let Lu Rian be killed by the princess. Xiao Ningyan deliberately framed me as the scapegoat. With each word I spoke, Father's expression darkened. Finally, he slammed his palm hard onto the table. "Outrageous. That Xiao Ningyan, with his sanctimonious facade, who would have thought he harbored such a black heart? Thank goodness you were vigilant, or our entire family would have been ensnared in his scheme. Father, don't fret. It's not worth damaging your health over such a despicable wretch." I gently patted his shoulder in consolation, then shifted the topic. "Now that our plan has been exposed, Xiao Ningyan harbors hatred toward us. We must find a patron 100 times more powerful than him to ensure our safety." Father, who built his business empire through shrewdness, grasped the implication instantly. "Juner, do you have a plan?" "Yes." I nodded and explained solemnly. "Xiao Ningyan has secretly pledged allegiance to the third prince. He's biding his time to help the third prince overthrow the crown prince. Our only way out now is to align ourselves with His Highness the Crown Prince." Hearing this, Father couldn't help but laugh wryly. His Highness the Crown Prince is such a formidable patron. How could we possibly curry favor with him? Merchants like us wouldn't even get a glance from the guards at the palace gates. Father, you needn't worry about that. I have my own way of reaching His Highness the Crown Prince. It's just... I sighed deeply, a touch of melancholy in my voice. To show our sincerity, we'll likely have to offer up 70 or 80% of our family's fortune. Should anything go wrong along the way, we stand to lose everything. In my past life, after death, my spirit drifted in the heavens. I learned of Xiao Ningyan's secret plots with the third prince against the crown prince, allowing us to prepare defenses. Yet even the most meticulous precautions cannot entirely rule out unforeseen complications. We must brace for the worst. Throughout history, the victor writes the chronicles. Even the crown prince, born of the imperial bloodline, faced such fate, how much more so for us humble merchants. Father waved his hand dismissively. Chuckling lightly, Xiao Ningyan is a scheming, petty man who calculates every last detail. Even if we do nothing, once he gains power, he'll never spare us. Better to fight than to wait for death. The crown prince, as the legitimate eldest son, holds an inherent claim to legitimacy, barring major missteps. His odds of inheriting the throne far outweigh those of the third prince. Should our allegiance prove successful, we'd at least attain imperial merchant status, a leap in standing beyond measure. I chuckled softly. Father's foresight surpasses my own. The matter of pledging allegiance to the crown prince demanded swift action. Father and I deliberated through the night, appraising every usable silver coin, antique, and land deed in our household. We compiled a detailed inventory of their approximate values. By noon the next day, I slipped out of the mansion in a small sedan chair, heading for an antique shop in the northern city. This modest courtyard house appeared to be an antique shop, but in reality, it served as the crown prince's secret meeting place for discussing crucial matters with his confidants. Had my soul not lingered by Xiao Ningyan's side after my tragic death in my previous life, I would never have known this. Today, the 9th day of the month, was the crown prince's unshakable monthly meeting day. I wasted no time. Upon entering the antique shop, I bluntly stated I had urgent business requiring an audience with the crown prince, explicitly mentioning matters concerning the third prince. After all, my sudden appearance without any credentials demanded a bold move to capture his attention. The shopkeeper clearly hadn't anticipated such a demand. His expression darkened as he turned and entered the inner courtyard. Only after half a cup of tea's time did he return, respectfully ushering me inside. The inner courtyard was compact, yet at least a dozen armed guards stood watch throughout. Every sentry's gaze fixed on me as I passed. The slightest misstep would mean instant decapitation. I showed no fear, however, calmly following the shopkeeper's lead up to the second floor. In the private room upstairs, a young man clad in purple brocade robes sat at the head of the table, idly twirling a jade ring on his thumb. I knelt properly and paid my respects. He did not bid me rise, merely stating in measured tones, I hadn't realized you possessed such skill, to even know of the third prince's affairs. This humble maiden merely stumbled upon a fragment of the truth by chance. I replied, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is the rightful heir and the future hope of great Xiao. To witness someone attempting to overthrow the heavens and plot treason, I could not turn a blind eye. Even at the cost of my life, I must inform your highness. Oh. The crown prince raised an eyebrow slightly, signaling me to continue. I did not hesitate, drawing upon my past life memories to recount in detail how Xiao Ningyan had aligned himself with the third prince, how he had exploited Princess Yongjiao's affection for him to manipulate her into committing grave errors that implicated the crown prince, and how he had systematically framed the crown prince for treason. In my past life, the emperor sending Princess Yongjiao away for a political marriage was merely the beginning. Soon after, letters exchanged between the crown prince and Princess Yongjiao were discovered in the crown prince's residence. They revealed a plot for Princess Yongjiao to ally with the mighty He tribe to help the crown prince kill his father and seize the throne. The old emperor, obsessed with elixirs and the pursuit of immortality these past years, had grown utterly senile. He harbored deep apprehension toward the crown prince, his heir apparent. With such irrefutable evidence, he ruthlessly deposed the crown prince. The charges? They needn't withstand scrutiny, only serve their purpose. Having spoken these words in one breath, I surreptitiously observed the crown prince's expression with my peripheral vision. Yet, I saw no trace of shock on his face. I couldn't tell if it was the pinnacle of composure or if he had long suspected something. Upon reflection, the latter seemed unlikely. Had he truly foreseen this, he would have mitigated the risk long ago. How could he have allowed himself to be drawn step by step into this trap? As my thoughts raced, the crown prince's icy voice rang out again from above. Is this the sincerity you offer in pledging your allegiance to this palace? Of course. It was more than that. I drew the ledger I had prepared earlier from my sleeve and presented it with both hands. My tone sincere, though I am but a humble merchant. I am willing to give everything I have to lend His Royal Highness the Crown Prince a helping hand. Under the old emperor's incompetent leadership these past years, the court's administration has been riddled with corruption, leaving the treasury nearly empty. Even someone as exalted as the Crown Prince has little silver to his name. The 800,000 taels our family has offered, enough to let your highness pursue every endeavor before you. The Crown Prince took the ledger and casually flipped through a few pages. A faint, almost imperceptible smile curling his lips. You offer so much, what do you seek in return? I met his gaze without hesitation. Speaking deliberately, word by word, I seek His Royal Highness's protection for my entire family. Furthermore, once the matter is settled, I wish to personally execute Xiao Ningyan. As for Lu Rian, there was no need for me to lift a finger. Princess Yongjia would handle her herself. The Crown Prince stared at me intently for a long moment, as if trying to see into my very soul. After a pause, his voice grew solemn. Very well. I grant your request. The weight on my heart finally lifted. I bowed my head in a formal kowtow. This humble maiden thanks your highness. The Crown Prince, perhaps prompted by the Crown Prince's secret guidance. Princess Yongjia, though aware of Lu Rian's existence, did not treat me with the same cruel and ruthless cruelty as in my previous life. She abandoned her usual arrogant and domineering demeanor, personally issuing invitations to both Xiao Ningyan and Lu Rian to attend a banquet at the princess's residence. Everyone knew this was a trap, a banquet where the true intent lay elsewhere. Yet Princess Yongjia extended the invitation with such courtesy that no one could refuse. Xiao Ningyan and Lu Rian, however suspicious they might be, had no choice but to grit their teeth and attend. At the banquet, something went terribly wrong. Xiao Ningyan somehow ended up entangled with Princess Yongjia. By the time they were discovered, both were barely clothed. To offend a princess was a capital offense against the imperial family. Even if Xiao Ningyan desperately wanted to avoid ruining his career, he had no choice but to accept the position of prince consort. Refusal would mean the execution of his entire clan. As for Lu Rian, rumor had it Princess Yongjia wasn't consumed by jealousy toward her. She merely flicked her sleeve, as if brushing away non-existent dust. After all, Miss Lu was the prince consort's betrothed, bound by a marriage contract. She couldn't be treated lightly. Once this princess and the prince consort were wed, Miss Lu would be welcomed into the household as a concubine. Imperial tradition forbade prince's consort from taking concubines. Princess Yongjia's actions thus exemplified the virtuous conduct expected of royal princesses. Yet Lu Rian, the recipient of this favor, turned ashen-faced. Who in the capital didn't know Princess Yongjia's ruthless ways? If Lu Rian annulled her betrothal to Xiao Ningyan and married another, she might yet find a sliver of hope. But becoming a concubine and living at the mercy of Princess Yongjia? That would be a true living hell. The imperial palace was full of ways to torment people without leaving visible marks. Even if Princess Yongjia had learned only a tenth of the late empress's methods, it would be more than enough to make Lu Rian suffer daily. Lu Rian was no fool. Crawling on the ground, trembling and shaking her head, she pleaded, "This humble maiden possesses neither talent nor virtue. I am utterly unworthy to share a husband with your highness. I beg you to revoke this decree. Had Princess Yongjia not heard the tales of Xiao Ningyan and Lu Rian's deep, passionate love circulating in the streets, nor received the crown prince's warning, she might have shown mercy. But now, this thorn was firmly lodged in her heart, gnawing at her with bitter hatred whenever she thought of it. How could she possibly let Lu Rian off? Princess Yongjia let out a cold snort. What? Is it beneath Miss Lu to share a husband with this princess? Of course it was beneath her. Lu Rian prided herself on her integrity and deeply despised Princess Yongjia for wielding power through her status. Yet such thoughts could only remain unspoken, not even 1,000 dares would make her utter them aloud. Thus she hastily shook her head. Princess jests. This humble maiden would never dare. Since you dare not, then it is settled. Princess Yongjia gave Lu Rian no chance to refuse, merely stating flatly, "Why wait for a better day? You shall enter the mansion today. It will be convenient for you to assist in managing the wedding arrangements for this princess and my consort." This was essentially treating Lu Rian like a servant. Lu Rian's body trembled violently once more. Before she could utter another word, the matron in charge of Princess Yongjia's affairs stepped forward. The princess's residence has strict protocols to prevent you, Aunt Lu, from committing any faux pas before the princess and her consort. This old servant shall instruct you in the proper etiquette during these days. With that, she seized Lu Rian and dragged her away without further ado. Xiao Ningyan hesitated, his lips parting as if to speak. But ultimately, no words came out. Can't even save himself, was the thought that crossed his mind. The once celebrated top scholar whose name echoed throughout the capital, destined for greatness, had become little more than a decorative ornament at the princess's side within mere days. Overnight, he became the subject of gossip among the common folk. The lucrative position the third prince had meticulously arranged for Xiao Ningyan was swiftly filled by someone else. Arranged by the crown prince who had anticipated this turn of events. The speed of it all left Xiao Ningyan utterly unprepared. Xiao Ningyan watched his promising future vanish before his eyes, forced to endure the princess's unpredictable temper at every turn. His frustration reached its peak. He longed to seek solace with the gentle Lu Rian. But though she was nominally his concubine, she remained under the strict tutelage of the palace's matrons. These matrons were not the type to show mercy. The slightest misstep by Lu Rian earned her harsh punishment. After over a month, her body and spirit were already severely battered. Ironically, each time the matrons punished her, they had a perfectly justifiable reason. She could find no fault in their actions. Nor were there any visible marks on her body. Unable to endure any longer, Lu Rian slipped out of the courtyard under the cover of a dark, stormy night to seek out Xiao Ningyan. The long-separated, ill-fated lovers poured out their hearts to each other, clinging desperately to one another. Yet this tender moment proved fleeting. Soon, palace matrons discovered them and dragged both before Princess Yongjia. Princess Yongjia flew into a rage, accusing Lu Rian of misconduct, secretly consorting with a servant and sullying her virtue. She ordered her drowned in the pond that very night. As if his pent-up frustration had finally boiled over, Xiao Ningyan refused to stand idly by this time. He passionately argued with Princess Yongjia, pleading for Lu Rian's life. Yet Princess Yongjia showed him no mercy whatsoever. Instead, she had him dragged away by guards and flogged 20 times for the crime of gross disrespect. The so-called unattainable beauty merely held extra allure during pursuit, but once plucked, proved utterly ordinary. Moreover, after becoming a prince consort, Xiao Ningyan was confined to idle days at home. The talents that once captivated Princess Yongjia had no place in the imperial court, rendered utterly useless. Like a flower deprived of its life-sustaining soil, he visibly withered away. And within the princess's residence, new favorites emerged one after another, each bearing a resemblance to Xiao Ningyan, yet far more gentle, attentive, and full of ingenious charms. It was hardly surprising that Princess Yongjia would grow weary of Xiao Ningyan. What no one knew was that those young, handsome favorites were all deliberately arranged by me. The reason I hadn't handed over all my assets to the crown prince earlier was precisely for this purpose, and it cost me dearly. I had assumed that after Xiao Ningyan's punishment, his relationship with Princess Yongjia would be irrevocably severed. Yet, whether subdued by the beating or not, once his wounds healed, Xiao Ningyan unexpectedly reversed his behavior. He actively sought to appease Princess Yongjia, serving her daily with meticulous care and caution. Princess Yongjia did harbor deeper feelings for Xiao Ningyan than for others. Seeing his earnest flattery, her heart softened. She even began to question whether her practice of keeping male favorites was excessive. Because Xiao Ningyan had previously come to my residence to propose marriage, deliberately putting on an act of profound devotion to me, Princess Yongjia noticed me just as she had in my past life. Only when I humbled myself, repeatedly declaring I harbored no affection for Xiao Ningyan and that my true love was the crown prince, did her hostility toward me lessen somewhat. Later, thanks to the crown prince's protection and my consistent ability to provide her with pleasing male companions both openly and discreetly, I could barely manage to exchange a few words with her. Thus, upon hearing Princess Yongjiao's concerns, I merely smiled indifferently. Your Highness is the master. Everyone within this princess's residence is your servant. Whatever you do is right. Why should you concern yourself with others? Princess Yongjia, accustomed to arrogance and tyranny, naturally found such flattery pleasing. Her exquisitely painted eyebrows arched slightly, of course. They all depend on this princess for their livelihoods. What else could they do but curry favor? Indeed. I nodded in agreement, then smoothly shifted the topic. Dogs that bite don't bark. A princess must always stay vigilant, lest she be bitten by the very dogs at her side. Princess Yongjia was no fool. She grasped my meaning with a moment's thought and shot me a cold, dagger-like glance. Are you implying the prince consort harbors ulterior motives? One should never harbor malicious intent, yet must remain vigilant against deceit. I glanced at Princess Yongjia, then lowered my eyes respectfully and said solemnly, Your Highness, do not underestimate a man's capacity for endurance and resentment. How could he not harbor hatred after you dealt with Lu Rian, the apple of his eye? To achieve his goals, he would stop at nothing. Should this ever implicate you, it would be most unfortunate. From what I know of Xiao Ningyan, he is no man to accept his fate. At the very least, he won't be crushed by a few lashes from Princess Yongjia or the humiliation of being given a few handsome male companions. On the contrary, such apparent defeat is likely a carefully crafted camouflage. In my past life, Xiao Ningyan rose to become the third prince's right-hand man, supporting him all the way to the throne. He possessed his own cunning and methods. In this life, though I've struck first to sever his path to court office, I cannot sever his ambition. He could easily remain hidden as the third prince's strategist. Once the third prince eliminates the crown prince and seizes control of the court, he'll have 1,000 ways to make Princess Yongjia vanish without a trace. Then, Xiao Ningyan could naturally return to court, rising to the highest ranks. How could I possibly grant him such an opportunity? Naturally, I must seal off every avenue for his comeback before that happens. If Xiao Ningyan truly possesses such formidable abilities, this princess would have to reconsider my estimation of him. Princess Yongjiao's tone remained dismissive, yet her gaze held a new gravity, evidence that she'd taken my words to heart. She sipped her tea lightly before abruptly shifting the subject. Su Yuner, at times I find myself wondering if you understand Xiao Ningyan better than I do. How could I not? A sea of blood separates Xiao Ningyan and me. Often, hatred sharpens one's senses more than love, allowing one to see through things with piercing clarity. But such thoughts must never be voiced aloud. I merely smiled faintly, maintaining a calm expression. Men are all like that. They believe themselves inherently superior to women. They alone have the right to keep multiple wives and concubines. Yet they absolutely forbid women from having any connection with other men. Otherwise, it's a disgraceful insult, and they'll likely seek revenge. I had shared this insight not only with Princess Yongjia but also with the Crown Prince. Princess Yongjia still harbored doubts, but the Crown Prince dared not let his guard down for a moment, keeping a close watch on every move of the third prince and Xiao Ningyan. Just as I had anticipated, Xiao Ningyan, believing he had secured Princess Yongjia, took advantage of her lowered vigilance to secretly align himself with the third prince, seeking to carve out a path for his own survival. He even resorted to old tricks, attempting to use Princess Yongjia as a pawn to scheme against the Crown Prince, just as he had done in my previous life. Alas, fortune did not smile upon him this time. While the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the sparrow behind, the Crown Prince remained motionless, as if he had unknowingly entered a trap. Yet at the most critical moment, he struck back with a counterattack, pinning the meticulously fabricated charges squarely upon the third prince. Of course, this was largely thanks to the financial backing from my family. Money talks, and without it, the Crown Prince wouldn't have so smoothly co-opted those originally aligned with the third prince. The third prince was ordered by the furious old emperor to be confined until death, repeating the fate the Crown Prince had suffered in his previous life, a fitting payback. As for Xiao Ningyan and the third prince's followers, the old emperor showed them none of the mercy he'd extended to his own son. They were all thrown into death row cells, awaiting execution. Whether his heart was broken by the third prince's treasonous plot or the long-term side effects of his elixirs finally caught up with him. The old emperor's health rapidly declined. He began to look like a lamp burning its last oil. All power within the court now rested firmly in the hands of the Crown Prince. This gamble where I staked everything, I won. True to his word, the Crown Prince permitted me to see Xiao Ningyan one last time, allowing me to end him in any manner I chose. When I saw Xiao Ningyan again, he had already spent over half a month in that dungeon, devoid of sunlight. Now, he was unshaven, his back hunched, his wrinkled clothes caked with grime. He was a stark contrast to the man who had paraded through the streets atop a fine steed after winning the top rank in the imperial examinations, radiant with triumph and pride. Once he rode the spring breeze on swift horseback, feasting his eyes on Chang'an's blossoms in a single day. That blazing glory, like oil boiling over a flame, lasted but a fleeting moment. After that came only endless darkness. This was his just reward. Hearing movement outside, Xiao Ningyan's cloudy, vacant gaze gradually sharpened. The moment he recognized me, his eyes widened abruptly. He lunged forward, gripping the iron bars with both hands, his vicious gaze threatening to devour me whole. "You ruined me, Su Yuner. I knew it was you. You bitch. Scheming behind my back." Watching his furious outburst, I laughed instead of anger. "Your Excellency, that's quite the illogical accusation. It was you who betrayed the princess and His Highness the Crown Prince, secretly tipping off the third prince. Now that the truth is out, it's simply a case of the victor writing the history. Why can't you accept defeat?" "That's not it. I clearly..." Xiao Ningyan's grip on the iron bars tightened and relaxed, veins bulging on his knuckles. He ground out each word. "A few nights ago, I had a dream. I dreamed you accepted my proposal. I didn't become a consort, reduced to the princess's plaything. My life wasn't meant to be like this." I wondered why Xiao Ningyan had suddenly become so agitated. Apparently, he was recalling events from his past life. Well, this way he'll die with clarity. His life shouldn't have turned out this way. Does that mean mine was destined to become a sacrifice trampled under his feet? If it's a contest of abilities, then victory should be decided by those abilities. I watched Xiao Ningyan's impotent rage with a blank expression, my tone growing softer. "Since you've dreamed it, why not finish your thoughts? Or do you still believe I deserve to be sacrificed for your great love with Lu Rian?" Xiao Ningyan's eyes flickered with complexity. His voice brimming with righteous indignation. It was Princess Yongjia who killed you. Not me. I avenged your death and secured justice. I even made an exception for your broken body, allowing you burial in the Xiao family tomb. Isn't that enough to repay you? His shameless words made me laugh in anger. So he meticulously plotted my death. And I'm supposed to be grateful? The twisted logic of a shameless scoundrel truly defies normal comprehension. My rage turned to laughter. Seeing my calm expression, Xiao Ningyan mistakenly thought his self-righteous speech had swayed me. He hurriedly added, "The past is the past. Why dwell on it? Since we both made mistakes, let's call it even. I know you love me deep down. If you can save me, I swear I'll marry you immediately." A dying, crippled prisoner still dares to dream of marrying me? Who gave young Master Xiao such confidence? I ruthlessly shattered Xiao Ningyan's unrealistic fantasy, replying coldly, "You belong to the princess in life and death. You'll likely never rest in the Xiao family tomb. But rest assured, I'll petition the princess for a simple coffin. At least your corpse won't be gnawed by wild dogs in the mass grave." With that, I clapped my hands. Immediately, a jailer silently approached carrying a small tray. Upon the tray rested 2 exquisitely crafted porcelain vials. Even if Xiao Ningyan were utterly brainless, he knew these couldn't be anything good. His guard instantly rose. "Su Yuner, dare you abuse your authority? I'm here to see young Master Xiao off on his final journey by order of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince." How could this be called abuse? I gave the jailer a knowing glance. He understood and roughly forced the potion down Xiao Ningyan's throat. Before the potion took effect, I calmly instructed, "Throw him into the main cell. He won't leave alive." In my past life, Xiao Ningyan knew full well that Princess Yongjia would use inhuman methods to destroy my reputation. Yet he personally pushed me step by step into hell. This debt I would repay 100-fold, 1,000-fold. The dungeon housed every kind of brutal, vicious, and utterly depraved criminal imaginable. Rumor had it they particularly relished men like Xiao Ningyan, fair-skinned, delicate-featured pretty boys. They would surely cherish him thoroughly. The strange changes in his body quickly made Xiao Ningyan understand my intent. He struggled violently with all his might, cursing me incessantly. "You damned bitch. Su Yuner, Princess Yongjia is the one who wronged you. You don't dare seek revenge on her. So you take it out on me instead. May you die a horrible death." Die a horrible death? Too bad. Whether I die a horrible death or not, Xiao Ningyan won't live to see it. His frail little frame couldn't withstand those burly thugs for even a few days. I thought Xiao Ningyan might last 3 days. But he proved even more useless than I imagined. He breathed his last in just a single day. At that moment, Princess Yongjia was lost in tender affection with her new male favorite. She couldn't be bothered with Xiao Ningyan, a has-been plaything. She merely ordered the jailers to wrap his corpse in a straw mat and toss it into the mass grave. After Xiao Ningyan's death, Princess Yongjia's carefree days didn't last long. Perhaps haunted by guilt over his demise, she began suffering frequent nightmares. Only by indulging nightly with her male companions could she quell the terror and unease. Perhaps she had indulged too excessively, for unusual red rashes gradually appeared on Princess Yongjia's private parts. These rashes were intensely painful and itchy, spreading relentlessly until they became a horrifying sight. She secretly summoned a female physician, who diagnosed her with a venereal disease, one beyond cure. Who says I wouldn't dare seek revenge on Princess Yongjia? It was merely a matter of timing. The terror of impending death plunged Princess Yongjia into utter despair. She brutally executed all her male companions in a desperate attempt to conceal the scandal. Yet the scandal spread like wildfire through the capital's streets and alleys. This coincided with the old emperor's demise and the new emperor's ascension. This world always demands far more of women than of men. Princess Yongjia's outrageous actions during the mourning period only deepened the contempt for her. drawing fierce condemnation from the Grand Censor and his colleagues. Memorials accusing her of misconduct nearly piled up to the imperial desk. Though the new emperor cherished his sister, born of the same mother, this affection paled before the dignity of the imperial house. He immediately expelled Princess Yongjia from the imperial registry on grounds of misconduct, demoting her to commoner status. Princess Yongjia soon died, her body ravaged by festering sores. And like Xiao Ningyan, her remains were discarded in a mass grave. Thus, every soul who had caused my death in my previous life paid a bitter price. I had finally avenged myself completely. On the day my vengeance was complete, the new emperor summoned me to the palace. In many matters, we shared an unspoken understanding. Just as he never questioned why I hated Xiao Ningyan so intensely, I never asked why he had coldly watched my schemes against Princess Yongjia unfold, allowing her to die in disgrace. Perhaps the truth was never the most important thing, achieving one's goals was what truly mattered. The new emperor gazed at me for a long time before finally speaking first. "You still refuse to stay?" His words meant offering me a position as a concubine. How could I not understand? What future could a lowly merchant's daughter hope for in this silent, deep palace? In the end, it would only be a life of scheming and plotting, ending with bones turning to dust in the earth. This was not the life I desired. I lifted my gaze to meet the new emperor's eyes. Speaking slowly and deliberately, a commoner like me is unworthy even to tie His Majesty's shoes. I dare not sully the emperor's sight. I only seek a place of clear waters and green mountains where I may live out my days in peace. As I spoke these words, my heart was truly filled with trepidation. Once the hare is caught, the hunting dog is cooked. Who could say whether he might silently dispose of me with a cup of poisoned wine? Fortunately, my great vengeance is served. Even if I die now, I have no regrets. A deathly silence hung in the hall. The new emperor pondered for a long while before finally nodding. "Very well. This humble subject thanks your majesty." I bowed deeply to the new emperor, then turned and hurried away without looking back, fearing he might change his mind. What happened yesterday is as if I died yesterday. From now on, the sky is vast and the sea is wide, all is freedom. The end.